Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Here we're going to have a look at Saturday's racing for Saturday the 18th of January. We've got racing at Ascot and at Haydock, and we're going to have a look at the ITV races. Now please bear in mind that quite often it's the first time that I'm looking at these races. And usually I'll do that in two stages. So I'll have an initial look just to get a feel of the races. And then if they're races that I'm going to be betting on personally, or I'm interested in for a bet, then I'll come back to them later on when there's more prices out and more information available. But this is kind of my first look at them. But for the purposes of this video, I will be going through the races from a form perspective as well, and just giving you my initial look at these horses and these markets. Again, just bear in mind, this is completely unfiltered, completely natural. I haven't done any prep whatsoever for these races, other than just knowing that these are the races that are on ITV tomorrow. It's now Friday morning, so this is my first look at these races. So let's make a start. Starting off on ITV, you've got the 140 at Ascot. It's a Grade 2 mare's hurdle over the trip, which is just half a furlong shy of 2 miles, 1 mile 7 and half a furlong. And at the top of the market, we've got a Carguess for Willie Mullins. And she is trading at odds on currently, which I can understand why. She's got the highest official rating in the field, and you could argue that, well, I don't think it's even an argument really. She's got the classiest of collateral form. Her 3 1/4 lengths behind Sergino at Aintree is an excellent run. Last year, when she was a juvenile, she returned to action and beat Butler's Secret in Punchestown in May. She hasn't been seen since then. To be honest, she was about £8 below her best there. You can see there she ran to an RPR of 131. It can be a little bit tough for these second season juveniles, but she is a classy sort. She would probably, let's see what the ground is like at Ascot. Good to soft. She does handle soft, heavy ground very well, so that's a little bit of a concern for her. Second in the market is Take No Chances. Now, I do have a lot of time for this horse. She stays well, she jumps, she travels. She's very fit now coming into this race. Take No Chances. You know, when she won at Wetherby, I actually thought she was quite impressive that day. You can see there that speed figure she clocked of 135. Ran up to an RPR of 137. I thought that was a really, really good effort. She was then stepped up in class into Grade 1 company, ran in the fighting fifth. She was unable to she didn't really run up to her best that day. She was out of her depth in any case. But she kind of bounced back to form then at Cheltenham over 2 miles 4 last time out, when she was 2 lengths behind the winner there, Woodoo. I don't know how you say that name. I think it's Woodoo or Wadoo or something. But I think she's a legit. Now, if this was a handicap, she'd be getting a couple of pounds from Carguessi. But as it stands, she's actually a little bit wrong at the weights. She's £2 wrong at the weights here on official figures. She's got to carry 11 stone 6. Carguessi is carrying 11 stone 5. But Take No Chances is a 7-year-old, so she's a slightly more grown up and mature mare. I think Take No Chances is a legit threat to Carguessi. She's definitely the one that she has to beat, but I haven't looked at any of the others yet. Casa Nomento, Nigel Twiston-Davis, rated 138. So officially, she's £1 well in, or £2 well in against Take No Chances. Don't know a great deal about her. She's ran twice this season and ran quite poorly. So she was pulled up at Kempton first time out. Last time out behind, she could be anything. She only ran up to 115. You know, you couldn't be backing her on the back of that. You know, if you could be sure that she'd come back to something like her Punchestown run, she could be competitive. But even then, that RPR and that speed figure, which is technically her best performance on the form book at least, speed aside, you'd say that she's got a little bit to find Casa Nomento, so she wouldn't be for me. Just on the face of it, you know, you've only got 7 runners here, so there's not much of an each-way shape to the race at all, really. Let's have a look at Betty. Betty, you know, she tries hard. She's won 2 out of her last 3. You know, she's a smart mare, Betty, and she's definitely the pace angle in the race. She'll jump, she'll travel, she'll try her best, but she'll probably come up short. But, you could see her running on for third place or something like that, or holding on for third place, I should say. All the Glory is, a mare that I've got an awful lot of time for. We had a really nice touch in her last season when she won at Newbury at 33-1. It was a fantastic day for us that day. She'll never owe me anything again. She won at 25-1 SP. I put her up on the main line at 33-1. It was a big day for us. She won easily as well by 9 lengths. It was a fantastic performance on the day, but now things are a lot tougher for her. That was off a mark of 115. She's now going off a mark of, she's now rated 135, and she's kind of having to be forced to run in races like this. Again, it's possible that she can improve a little bit more, but on all, she is just a little bit vulnerable here, you would have to say. She does travel well, she jumps well, she tries, but she'll probably be found wanting in this type of company. And Parapuri and Brenda's Askin, these two horses are just quite badly out of their depth, so they've got no chance whatsoever. So yeah, it does kind of concern these four, I dare say. All the Glory, it'll be interesting to see how she's ridden. She is capable of going forward as well, and she stays a lot further than this 2-mile trip. Betty will almost certainly be right on the pace. Take No Chances will almost certainly be tracking the pace. And then it's just a case of what Paul Townend wants to do with Cargessi. I dare say he'll probably take a nice lead, because there should be a bit of pace in this race. I could see this race just being set up for these two, Take No Chances and Cargessi. Then it'll just kind of depend on the fitness of Cargessi and how she is after a run. She did get beaten on her return to action last year. She was beaten by Cala Conti first time out, which is worth noting. 9-2 here with 2 places. If you wanted to have an each way smash with 2 places, Take No Chances at 9-2, you could. You could also wait to see if Take No Chances drifts out to something like 6-1, 13-2, something like that, for an each way smash, or even like a small win bet against Cargessi. You could also look at the top 3 markets, place markets and stuff like that, and take your medicine a little bit with Take No Chances. But she would be, for me, the biggest threat to Cargessi first time out. Cargessi, obviously, if you're a fan of her, you could put her into your multiples for the day or whatever, but I would be looking at those two. Number 1 and number 2 in the first. We'll keep it simple here, just number 1 and 2 in that first race. What's up next? It's the 2:15, which makes perfect sense. Let's stay at Ascot. Oh, we do love a good handicap chase at Ascot. They're always very tough races at Ascot over fences. The fences are very demanding. I think Ascot's chase course is definitely in the top 3 or 4 most demanding race courses for a chaser. So course form is definitely helpful. The favourite here, Martador for Venetia Williams, does have plenty of that. He's won over shorter here. He's stepping up in trip. Again, did win over 2 miles 4 here on heavy ground at Newbury in a novices handicap chase. That was off a mark of 1:18 though, and is now running off 1:51. So the examination of his stamina over this extended 2 mile 4 trip is 2 miles 5. Makes him somewhat vulnerable. The fact that he's now running off 1:51, the fact that in 3 of his last 4 starts, he's failed to run beyond an RPR of 150, including last time out. Those things are a little bit of a concern to me, and I would make him a little bit of a shaky favourite. That's what I would call him, a little bit vulnerable. So I'd probably get him out of there. I could be wrong. Respect the horse. I love the trainer. But yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is. I think he could be vulnerable, Martador, in the closing stages of the race. I know that Cop Mask is another one that knows Ascot, so the course will hold no problems for him. He'll be a good bit better off at the weights with Martador here, and for that reason has solid each way claims. But again, he's stepping up in trip. up to 2 miles 5. So these horses do need to prove that they can stay on the speed figures here, 92, 70, 92, 96, 97. Reasonably consistent, and his RPRs have been kind of steadily progressive. Runs off a nice racing weight here of 10 stone 5 off that mark of 133. So Copmash does actually have a solid enough profile, but you just wonder, will he be vulnerable to something that stays a little bit better? So as I'm going down through this race and trying to frame it in my mind, I'm looking at this from a stamina point of view over this intermediate, over this kind of middle trip of 2 miles 5, which is somewhere between kind of 2 miles and 3 miles, and it's a little bit more than 2 miles 4, which is obviously quite a common trip as well. So I'm looking at this from a stamina point of view, as well as a kind of a profile form and kind of course form, and then kind of trainers' weights and ratings point of view. Scarface is a lovely looking horse, always been a nice type, probably hasn't lived up to the frame and the scope that he has as a specimen. He's another one looked at stepping up in trip here. He's been running over 2 miles 3, 2 miles 4, 2 miles 1, 2 miles, 2 miles 4, 2 miles 3. So he's never actually ran over 2 miles 5 either. And the more that this applies to more horses, the more it muddies the water as a form student, because you don't really know which horse is going to stay that extra furlong the best. And it doesn't help when you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to have a bet in the race. In fact, it does kind of put you off a bit. If I'd looked at the first 3 horses, and then I started seeing horses that had been running over 2 miles 6, 2 miles 5, or 3 miles, then it would frame the race a little bit better for me from a stamina perspective. And stamina is really important in the way that I do things and see things. So just something to think about there. So that's Scarface. Let's just go down along here. This horse, Phlegmatic, for Dan Skelton, he's a 10-year-old. He's been around the block a gajillion times. Knows Ascot very well too. He's been creeping down the handicap a little bit, and he ran over 3 miles at Ascot last time out in that grade 3. The handicapper has dropped him from 134 down to 132, goes off 10 stone 4, with Tristan taking £3 off, which takes him down to 10 stone 1. The fact that he's dropping back in trip, I see as a positive, generally speaking. So he's definitely, despite being quite exposed and getting on in age, he's definitely quite a major place candidate here, Phlegmatic. The bookies are a little bit split. Some of them are going 4-1, taking no chances and agreeing with me. You could argue that kind of 6-1, 13-2 each way with 3 places is not bad. The only downside to that is that you're dealing with a horse that's regressive. On the ratings just show that he is steadily regressing as a racehorse, which is kind of in line with his age. But that's not to say that he couldn't turn out here and run a cracking race. So that's him. Bad is a perpetual loser of horse races, and he keeps creeping up the weights as well. He's gone up to 130 now. Are any of these out of the handicap? Yeah, so Bad is a few pounds out of the handicap, in fact. He's £5 out of the handicap, which is not good for him, really. And he's wearing blinkers for the first time, which can mess up their jumping a bit. Yeah, Bad wouldn't be for me here. If I get him wrong, I get him wrong. But reaching for blinkers, coming in here out of the handicap, he just keeps finding ways to lose, this horse. And he's been quite well backed, and he's just becoming a little bit of a disappointment over fences. Today could be the day, but he certainly wouldn't be carrying my money, that's for sure. So we'll get rid of him. I'll keep Scarface there. I'll keep Cop Mask there. Phlegmatic, as I've said, of those 3, if I was looking at it from an each-way angle. But to be honest with you, I would probably want to be seeing kind of 8, 9, 10-1 on Phlegmatic. I'd want to see the market underestimating him by quite a bit more than this for me to get involved. That does happen quite a bit, but it's clearly not happening here. They're giving Phlegmatic his respect, and for that reason, I don't think he's overpriced. I think this is very tight, 4-1, and around about 6-1 or 13-2 is just about where he should be, Phlegmatic, in the market. All right. Hitman. Quality horse on his day. Absolutely quality horse on his day. Running here off 12 stone and a mark of 156. I mean, it's not going to be easy for him to run. I couldn't back him. I don't think I could back him. I think the only way that I could back Hitman in a race like this is if he was coming into the race on the back of another run in a handicap where he had proved that he can carry 12 stone against horses carrying 10 stone too and really get amongst it and enjoy himself. Carrying 12 stone around Ascot off a mark of 156 in the middle of January, I'm just not sure he's going to be up to that. Now, that's not to say he couldn't get into the first 3 or 4, but, he wouldn't be for me, Hitman, as much as I love him. He's done me a couple of nice turns in the past. He's also let me down a couple of times. But I'll just get rid of him. Tedley's a good, consistent type of horse. Jamie Brace takes £5 off, which negates the fact that he's £1 out of the handicap. 14 to 1. Not too bad a price. The only problem is he ran very badly at Cheltenham last time out. I suppose you can forgive him that, but he's been on the go a long time, Tedley. He ran all the way through autumn up along here. He was in good form. And then come January 1st, he was just like, I can't remember exactly what happened to him that day. Racing third, disputing second, 5 out, pecked on Langdon 3 out, and then weakened. Yeah, so he just wasn't at the races at all that day, and he was fancied. He could bounce back and run well here. But again, he's another one that's stepping up in trip. He ran over 2 miles in his last 2 starts, and now he's stepping right back up to 2 miles 5. So I think he'll struggle, to be honest. Teresita. I've missed her a couple of times when she's won, and I should have backed her. Teresita. I don't know if you've seen a series called Queen of the South with a character called Teresa Mendoza, I think. But one of the other characters called her Teresita, and I think that may be where the name comes from. I don't know. Queen of the South is an excellent show, by the way, and you should watch it. I think she'll stay. The fact that it's good to soft ground will suit her. She is consistent. She's got a bit of course form. The handicapper has dropped her £1 from that run behind Gemirande here at Ascot over 2 miles 5 last time out. I can't remember that run. Did she weaken there? Yeah, look, in rear, headway on outer after 4 out, went second 2 out, soon ridden, lost second and no extra, final 110 yards. Now, I haven't watched the race to confirm that, but generally speaking, when you see, in the last 110 yards, if a horse is not finding, it's a little bit of a problem. You want your horses to be staying on strongly. So yes, she might just struggle. Kansas City Star, another kind of horse that's been on the go for seemingly many seasons, even though he's still only 8. He ran well last time out here at Doncaster in this run. Won off a mark of 127. It's gone up £4 for that. Johnny Burke takes over from Alice Stevens, who was claiming £5 that day. So on the weight that he's going to be actually carrying today, he's going to be £9 worse off, so to speak, than what he was at Doncaster. But obviously having the services of Johnny Burke, a top professional rider, versus Alice Stevens will negate that somewhat. He's one of these horses that I probably couldn't back, but would it surprise me if he ran well? No, absolutely not, to be honest. Did clock a good speed figure there. Ran up to an RPR of 137, off his mark of 131. If he was to repeat that effort, he does have a few pounds in hand of the handicapper, gets in off a nice weight, nice jockey on board. So you could see him being an interesting outsider if he takes to the demands of this race at Ascot. Generally speaking, you see this horse running left-handed instead of right-handed. So I'm not quite sure how he's going to handle Ascot, or even if he's been there before. Late night pass, nah, it's not entry, and it's not 3 or 4 years ago, so I think he'll just struggle. So there we go. That's my little take on that. I would say that Phlegmatic is an interesting each way angle, not the price that I would like, and those kind of 4 horses I would be looking at from the 10 that are there. 5, 6, 7 and 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. That works out nicely. Okay, we are taking our time here, so we better crack on. 250 and 2. Okay, let's spend a little bit less time on this one. Okay. 2 mile 3 handicap hurdle. There's going to be a few horses here again that are stepping up in trip for the first time. Beau Zenith. Mark of 138. Hasn't ran up past that on RPRs yet, so I couldn't be having him unless he steps up in, unless he improves. Could improve, but just on that basis alone, on the figures, he'd be up against it for me. Antebelly, first time tongue tight and cheek pieces, so they're reaching for every bit of headgear imaginable for that horse, which is fine. Doddy the Great wouldn't be for me. None of this kind of reads very well. Pulled up last time out behind East India Express, wouldn't be for me. Antebelly, yeah, he's definitely a bit of a threat, this horse, so I think he's the one they have to beat. At the top of the market, this is just my first glance, obviously, at this race. Josh the Boss, talented horse, always ridden by Mr. Jamie Neal to claim £7. Ran very poorly behind Steel Ally Haydock last time out. I'm not sure if there was excuses for that. He did run over 2 miles 5 here at Ascot a few starts back. I think he's vulnerable off his mark of 131, to be honest. So I would take him out. Cam Sinas for Fergal O'Brien. Nice horse as well. Had a couple of really good wins as a novice, particularly this one at Kempton where he beat Be Aware. Very good speed figure there. He's another one that needs to improve, but he kind of steadily coming into the season now. He stepped it up there on RPRs. He ran a nice race there. This is kind of, he does need to find another gear here. But I think he's capable, and I think he might like the track as well. So he's definitely on the short list. Cam Sinas, Georgie Girl for Philip Hobbs stable, and Johnson White, just in excellent form at the minute. Yeah, I'm not sure how much I rate that form at Cheltenham, to be honest. Georgie Girl gets in off an alright weight. Not sure she's particularly well handicapped. She might just be seen to better effect against her own sex. So we'll get rid of her. Spirit Danu, 6-year-old for Gary Moore. Capable horse. Very capable horse on his day. Probably slightly better over 2 miles at Sandown. Soft ground at Sandown will kind of be more his cup of tea, I think. That said, I respect the horse and he could run well. Got a good £5 claimer on board, so he's probably just about staying the short list on the basis of these kind of 2 speed figures as 3. You know, he is capable of some good work, this horse. Just very inconsistent, and he doesn't jump the best either. Aston Martini, she let me down badly at Newbury last time out. I backed her. I'm not sure I can forgive her for that. She is talented, Aston Martini. 20-1 is a big price. And if she was to come back to kind of this kind of form when she was second behind Might High at Bangor, she wouldn't be out of this. I just don't know if I can forgive her for that run at Newbury, where she was very, very poor. But I'll keep her on the short list anyway. This is, I have to admit, the type of race that I could get involved in, but I'd need to take more information on board, see what the final conditions are like at Ascot, see what the prices are like later on, maybe take a trainer quote or 2 into consideration, watch this race at Doncaster, watch this race at Haydock and at Aintree, go back over these races in terms of replays and stuff like that before I'd make any final decisions. So 4 on the short list for there. Bowens Park, nah, I couldn't see him getting close in this. Goshen, good old Goshen, what can you say about him? I'll leave him on the short list just because it's him. Move It Like Minnie. Again, she's another capable, he's another capable horse, experienced, goes off a nice weight, and could run well here at a big price. Yeah, this race is a shark-infested water, because that probably is the only one out of all the outsiders that you absolutely couldn't see getting into the frame. if you look at these, look, what I'm trying to get at here is look at these outsiders, right? And then just look at their speed figures, okay? So you come up to the top of the market here, and you see Antebelli and Cam Sinas, and just look at the body of their work here, along here, yeah? All running decent speed figures all the way down along. And then you come down to the 12 to 1 shots. Again, all of them capable of running to really good speed figures and RPRs against their current handicap marks. You know, Goshen running off 141. Here he's ran to 144. We know what Goshen is capable of when he's at his best. It's, you know, it's no secret. Move It Like Mini, good speed figure there. Last time out at Ascot at this track. Will he appreciate the step up in trip? Could well do. Willful for John Joe Neal. Again, 111 last time out. I would probably take him out just because he doesn't look particularly well handicapped, but even so, would it surprise you if he got into the frame? Not really, but I'll take him out anyway. And again, Stoner's choice for Fergal O'Brien. He's been around the block for years, this horse, but he is capable. And again, a couple of decent speed figures there. And some course form as well to boot. So this race has kind of gone from a race that I will take another look at it later on, but it very, very tough. You know, all of those horses would remain on the short list till later, which makes it very tough. You know, I've only discounted about half of the field there. Okay, so that's that race. Let's move on to the feature race of the day, the Clarence House. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this, to be honest. I mean, on official ratings, there's a pound between them, Energumene and John Bond. John Bond was very impressive last time out in the Tingle Creek. There's no getting away from that. And he is the most likely winner on that basis. Earlier on in the week, when Energumene was kind of 9 to 4, 5 to 2, 5 to 2, you could argue, was a little bit better. Well, it's not an argument. Obviously, 5 to 2 is bigger than 2 to 1. If you're an Energumene fan, I wouldn't let his age put you off. Him and John Bon have had the exact same amount of chase starts. So John Bon has had 13 runs, 11 wins. Energumene has had 13 runs, 11 wins. So despite John Bon being 2 years his junior, Energumene arguably has fresher legs than John Bon, because Energumene only ever had one run over hurdles, and he only ran in 2 bumpers. He's ran in 16 rules races for an 11-year-old, whereas John Bon has ran in 19 rules races. So he's ran in 3 more races than Energumene has. So this kind of notion that John Bon is just like has much fresher legs or is kind of a moot point. Let's not forget what Moscow Flyer was able to do at the age of 11. So to discount Energumene based on his age would be silly. For me, it's just a case of how he comes out of this run at Cork, really. And he does need to improve and step it up a bit. If he can, then he'll be a big threat to John Bon. A lot of this will depend, of course, on how they jump. Ascot is a very demanding track. If you make one mistake, your race can be over. Edward Stone is the only other one, really, that you could realistically say could trouble these two if he was at his absolute peak. And 1 or 2 of them weren't quite at it. I don't think Boot Hill, he's a talented horse. Just don't think he's quite up to you know, causing an upset. If there was to be an upset, the only one capable of that, in my book, would be Edward Stone. But he would need both of these horses something to have gone wrong, maybe a mistake or 2. One of them underperforms, whatever it may be. You could argue that Edward Stone would be the one to pick up the pieces. Look, this is simple. If you're going with your head and on recent form, John Bon wins this. If you're going with your heart and you're an Energumene fan and you think that Energumene could get back to his absolute peak, which is kind of somewhere down here, when he was beaten Chacun Persois by 9 lengths at Punchestown and stuff like that, running up to RPRs of 178. If you think he can get back up to that kind of standard, Energumene is a bet at 2 to 1. Or if you just want to take them on, both of them, and have a little poke on Edward Stone at 14 to 1, you could do that as well. This is kind of a case of sit back and watch and enjoy the show, really, for me. Okay, let's just pop over to Haydock here, the 155. Seven runner field, 2 miles, grade 2. I mean, it's quite a poor grade 2. It is a novice's hurdle. Royal Infantry sets a standard, an official rating of 135, which he hasn't quite earned yet because he only ran up to 131 there at Haydock last time out, but he does have that course form, which is useful. Yeah, he was quite impressive that day. Didn't do a great deal wrong. Was quite strong in the market and got the job done. Just looking at his kind of main rivals, Sandy Thompson's Dedicated Heroes won 2 out of his last 3. You see here his best RPR of 119, so that gives him £12 to find with the favourite Royal Infantry. These two have got kind of similar speed figures. Peace Nick for Katie Price, rated 117. Again, quite, just quite similar speed figures in the 80s and 90s. That one has 102. Clunenra for John McConnell bringing over. This mare obviously gets her £7 allowance. She clocked a decent speed figure there at Leopardstown in a handicap hurdle. She could be the one that could kind of finish second. If you're looking for a horse to finish second, it could be her, John McConnell's runner. But John McConnell's horses are not in great form at all, really. Did have a third at 28-1 the other day. Generally speaking, his horses are struggling. Yeah, I don't think this is really a betting race. The 7 runners is off-putting for an each-way angle. Royal Infantry is just about the price that he should be. If you wanted to put him into kind of doubles and trebles with the likes of that other odds-on one that we had earlier on in the preview, you could do. Royal Infantry is the horse to beat in that race. Let's just tab over by the speed figures. Again, look, as I said, John McConnell's horses, if you're to tab over strictly on top speed, Clunenra for John McConnell is the interesting one. But with only 2 places, it just doesn't make much appeal, to be honest. But if you were to get kind of an enhanced place or something like that, 3 or 4 places on Betfair, whatever it may be, that might be the horse that you concentrate on. The fact that he's bringing her over in itself is interesting. The Peter Marsh, I think we're going to see Royal Pagaille in this race, aren't we? Yep, 8 runners in a Premier Handicap chase. It's not great, is it? Look, he loves the place, this horse, Royal Pagaille, and I don't think it could possibly ever be soft enough for him. Trelawn, definitely a little bit of a threat. My laptop has gone a little bit darker now because the battery's running low and my plug is outside, so I'm not going to keep this running for much longer. Let's just have a quick look here. I will do it. That's a little bit of a threat. I would say that Royal Pagaille is the one they all have to beat. The favourite will be very hard to deny. The 2 against him would be Trelawn, and I will do it. Possibly Richmond Lake, but no, he won't stay well enough. So I will do it in Trelawn against Royal Pagaille. Let's move on to the 305 and wrap this up. The 3 mile handicap hurdle, 12 runners. So this is going to take a little bit of getting this race. I don't think I could be having that one. Stepping back up to... Oh, hang on a second now. All right. I mean, this race is horrible, isn't it? This race is horrid. Bushy Park. Capable on his day. Definitely capable on his day. He's the type that will like this race, Bushy Park. This is a horrible race. Really horrible. I won't be going near this tomorrow. I'm just getting rid of some of the obvious stragglers pulled up last time out. Bold Endeavour, Fonzarelli, That's got no chance. Anything else that won't stay? That one might struggle. Good luck charm. So how many have we got that down to now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got it from 14. Sorry, from 12 down to 6. That's not too bad. This horse might just struggle to get home. Did run over just shy of 3 miles, but has an extra furlong to go tomorrow. Might struggle to get home, possibly. Tiny Tetley, 10 stone 7. That's a little bit of a danger. Philip Pops' lot are going very well. Lossymouth, the other Lossymouth, so to speak. I think she's got quite a big weight to carry, but it's probably in the mix. Bushy Park is in the mix just because he's nicely handicapped and he likes Haydock, likes off ground, likes 3 miles, so you could see him going well. I think Kilbarry Hill will struggle. I think Uncle Bert will probably struggle as well. So there we go. Got it between those 3. Tiny Tetley, Lossymouth and Bushy Park in the final race. And that's all from me for this preview. I hope you like these. Hope you enjoy them. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like this. Please leave any comments underneath. Let me know what you think of Saturday's racing, etc., etc. Catch you soon.